So did Ozzy Osbourne really bite the head off a bat in the building behind me? I'm not 100% sure. I'm going to give you all the details, let you decide for yourself. Opening in 1955 as the Veterans Memorial Auditorium, in 2010 the building was gutted and repurposed as part of the new convention center. On that night in 1982, fans would have been lined up right behind me, waiting to go into a metal show, having no idea that they were about to witness rock and roll history. So the entrance was here, still is. Over here now, they have a whole tribute to the old building. So this is what the roof looked like then. Now they've got multiple different floors. So when we get down to where the stage was, there'll be a bunch of columns holding up the other floors, which weren't there at the time. They have these museum-type placards about all the different events, including an early Elvis Presley concert. They also do not shy away from the Ozzy Osbourne incident. It is documented right here on this placard. And then over here, they have concert tickets from all different shows. Iron Maiden, Alice Cooper, Megadeth. And there is Ozzy Osbourne, January 20th, 1982. And on that night, 5,000 fans filed in to see Ozzy Osbourne perform. In the 1980s, this would have been backstage. And the stage would have extended out to right about here. Ozzy Osbourne would have been standing right here. The pit would have been here. Fans would have been that way. Rudy Sarzo says that he was on that side of the stage, so right over there. Saw Ozzy, reach down, pick up the bat. It happened right where I'm standing.
Let's just get right to it. What I hear, that you
Well, it was a sheer accident, actually, because I got a lot of...
Well, wait a minute. Before you start explaining it, let's tell them what you did. Bit the head off a bat. There, I said it.
Somebody threw a bat on stage, and I thought it was one of these toy bats.
Ozzy's shows included a lot of blood, guts, and meat at that time. In fact, they had a catapult of meat that they would use to shoot meat at the audience.
I'm a likeable madman. I'm like a fun madman. I'm like a clown madman. I put it to my management. I thought I was totally insane. You can't throw blood in the air and offal into the audience. I said, why not?
Now, Ozzy Osbourne did bite the head off a dead dove in 1981. He was having a business meeting with Epic Records.
And he picked it up and put it in his mouth and ripped its head off.
Said he was drunk on brandy at the time and figured the bird was already dead, he might as well bite its head off, which certainly scared everybody in the room and gave him this reputation of being a madman. That's the reason that people were bringing meat to the shows. He said that he would drive up to the show and he'd see people carrying a dead bull's head or a slab of ribs. We'd gone up one level, so the stage would have been below me. We'd be kind of suspended in the air here. But right here is where you can see what the roof would have looked like back then. Wouldn't have seen these beautiful windows. Instead, there'd be a curtain here, and it'd go all the way up to the roof, which then did not have this beautiful finished ceiling, which now has a curvature. Back then, it went straight up to a point. Here's the flyer advertising the concert that night. Ozzy Osbourne with special guest Starfighter. Advance tickets were only $8.50. The event made national news and made Ozzy Osbourne a far bigger star than he had been. There are no pictures of the incident. You may have seen this video. This was done in the 1990s. It was a reenactment done for a VH1 Behind the Music special. So the series of events, according to multiple different eyewitnesses, is that a young man named Mark Neal had brought a bat to the arena. He claims that he had gotten it at school, but there's no specifics as to why he would have gotten a live bat at school. He said he took the live bat home, wanted to keep it as a pet, but it died rather quickly. So he then was convinced by his friends to put it in the freezer and then take it to the Ozzy Osbourne concert in a couple weeks. This story didn't come out until decades later, although he claims that he did speak to a reporter that night, but I have not been able to find that copy of the Des Moines Register. And even in the Des Moines Register's articles about it, they seem to imply that they don't have that copy. Ozzy claims that he knew immediately when he bit into it that it was alive because it was twitching, which it couldn't have been, especially if it was cold and out of the freezer. Now, it may have warmed up to room temperature, but Ozzy said when he bit into it, a hot liquid oozed out of it. He said it was the worst aftertaste you could ever imagine, and he immediately knew he had bit the head off a real bat. So he spit the head off and dropped the bat. He assumes it went into the pit in front of the stage. Now, security and police searched the arena after the show ended. They never found it. They never found either part. And so the theory was, well, maybe a fan took it home. But I think if somebody took it home at some point, they would have said that. At some point, they would have came out and said, I'm the guy who came home with the bat, or I'm the guy who came home with the bat's head. Behind me is the Mercy One Medical Center here in Des Moines, very, very close to where the auditorium was. And after the show, word got out that Ozzy had bit into a real bat. And since they couldn't find the body of the bat, they said, well, we need to take him for rabies shots. And they took him over here. Now, Rudy Sarzo was the bass player that night, and he said that they came to him and said, we need your camera. We want to get pictures of Ozzy getting the rabies shots, because Ozzy was a showman, and they know that this was going to be a big deal. But I can't find these pictures, so I don't know that they actually exist. But Rudy said that he was told Ozzy was getting put into an ambulance. According to Ozzy, they stuffed him in a wheelchair, then put him in an ambulance, and they took him over here. In an anniversary piece that the Des Moines Register wrote about the event, Pam Culver, who was the nurse supervisor on duty that night, said she saw Ozzy come in. She did not treat him directly, but she said she believed he did get rabies shots. She knows that on his chart it said patient bit head off bat. Across the street from the hospital, and I'm going to pan over, I want to show you, that's where the auditorium is. So you can see that pointed roof there. It was October of 1982 when the venue decided they were going to make it a rule that concerts couldn't use live animals in their acts unless they officially got permission. But again, this bat was already dead, apparently. Now, Ozzy returned to this venue to play one more time back in 2007, and when he did, he signed his placard, "No More Bats." After the incident, the image of the bat was featured on Ozzy's concert shirts for quite some time. And more recently, he sold a plush bat that had a detachable head. And when he appeared in the movie Little Nicky with Adam Sandler, well, he bit the head off a bat in hell.
Ozzy? You can do it, Ozzy! Bite his freaking head off! No!
Ozzy said that he wishes he didn't do it. He said, at first it was a great bit of publicity, but now, to this day, he is always asked about it. And he said that when he dies, they're probably going to dig him up and ask him about it again. He said that during his press tour in 2021 when he was selling his first NFTs, which were bat-themed. Crypto bats. There have been some reports that his house that he had to sell in Los Angeles was infested with bats. I haven't found much to back that up other than rumors on Reddit and other places. But when he moved over to England, perhaps as a way to say penance for that night here in Des Moines, Iowa, he put up bat boxes. These are boxes that you would put in your yard that the bats can go into to stay away from predators and to keep warm. Bats are pretty good to have on your property because when they fly around at night, they eat mosquitoes and other bugs and kind of keep your yard a little more free from creepy crawly things. One of the interesting things I found when I was researching this was an Ann Landers column where a concerned teen had written into her, "Dear Ann Landers, I'm a teenager who loves rock music, and I also love animals, and I can't stand when I hear what is going on during some of those punk rock concerts. Please do what you can to stop it. I'm talking about onstage murdering of helpless animals." At one concert, the group threw a bunch of baby kittens into the audience and demanded that they be killed or the concert would not continue. Another group steps on baby chicks and stomps them to death with the beat of the music. Last year, an attempt was made to blow up a goat on stage out east. Strangling cats is another method to get the crowd excited. Last January in Des Moines, Ozzy Osbourne, a heavy metal rock star, bit the head off a live bat. Isn't this just sickening? I won't sign my name. Just call me Animal Protector. Dear Animal Protector, I've received several letters complaining about a rock concert that tossed baby kittens into the audience and demanded that they be killed. I've also gotten letters about a group that strangles chickens. No one, however, has told me when or where these horrible incidents occurred. Nor has anyone come up with the names of any of the groups. A Sun-Times librarian searched high and low for documentation, and there isn't a line to be found. So unless someone can provide me with authentic evidence, I must assume these stories are untrue. But wait, I'm not finished. Ozzy Osbourne did indeed bite the head off a bat in Des Moines last January. However, when he discovered he had bitten the head off a live bat, he was horrified and had to take a series of extremely painful rabies shots. Ozzy said under no circumstances would he ever do this again.
Chef suggested I buy a pompadour hat. I thought he said, bite the head off a bat. So I did.
By the way, big shout out to everybody on Patreon, Michael and Jessica, Cheese God, Chris, and Matthew David Chapin.
Oh my God! Ozzy Osbourne bit Kenny's head off!
So what are we left with? We have Rudy, the bass player, who says he saw Ozzy bite the head off the bat. We have Ozzy, who thought it was a toy bat, but then realized it was a real bat as he bit into it. We have Mark Neal, who claims to have taken the bat from his freezer and brought it to Ozzy Osbourne. Would he go so far as to take rabies shots for a bat incident that didn't happen? Maybe. He rode that publicity to become a huge, huge star. Just think of how big of a success he was with his reality show and everything else. And I don't think that stuff would have happened if he was just a rock and roll legend who didn't have this amazing bat story behind him. In the end, I'm like Ann Landers. I want more evidence. And I hope those kittens are okay. In a moment, a couple boxes are going to pop up. On this side will be another video about a rock legend who told people to bite into a bird. Kenny Rogers and Kenny Rogers Roasters, the entire story of how the country music star turned into a chicken franchisee. It's a great story. You're going to love it. Otherwise, that's not for you. Over here and check out this. This is what YouTube says is best for you. And I've got a second channel. I'll see you next time.